All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 5 Minutes of Math. This is Mr. Lunsford. Thank you so much for joining us one more time. All right, so Part D, we're looking at a table. This is Kara and Mandy and their savings plan. Part D says describe each girl's savings plan. And this is a continuation from last night. And the descriptions are Kara started with $20. She saved $15 per week. Mandy started with $50 and saved $10 a week. So that's a description. We're done with Part D. Now let's take a look at the next piece of this. This is the table. This is the graph. Part E says write an equation to represent each girl's savings plan. So what do? In words, what this means is if we look just at Kara's savings, the money saved equals $15 per week plus her starting amount, and that's the gray part right there. So 15 in green, W is the blue plus the starting amount. S is what we have at week 0, not at week 1, and I put that fact up there at the top to remind us. Now, why is that the case? We have to start with week 0 and not week 1. So what happens if we put 1 in there and just use 20? So we have our equation, M equals 15 times W plus 20. 15 times 1 plus 20 is 35, not 20. So if we use 20, that equation doesn't work with our chart. Week 1 will give us 35 instead of 20 like it says up here. So what we have to do to get everything to match up is to figure out what happens at week 0. So I broke the chart apart right here. And if you notice with Kara's savings plan, it goes from 20 to 35, that's $15, 35 to 50, that's $15. So what did she start with? So instead of adding 15, we're going to subtract 15. So the starting amount is what would happen if we subtract 15 from what she saved in week 1 to figure out what she started with. All right, and 20 minus 15 is 5. So let's see if $5 works out a little bit better. So let's plug that in and see if we can get $20 back. So 15W plus 5. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 plus 5 is 20. So yes, week 1 works out just fine if we use $5. Now let's look at week 10 to see if that formula continues to work. Week 10, we plug in 15 times 10 plus 5. $15 times week number 10 plus $5, which is our starting point. 15 times 10 is 150. 150 plus 5 is 155. So yes, this also works. So our formula for Kara is M equals 15W plus 5. And $5 is our S, our starting amount for Kara's savings plan. Now, here we go with looking at this filled out. We know 5 is where we start with Kara. Let's look again at Mandy. Now with Mandy, we start with 50 and go to 60. That's a difference of $10. We go from 60 to 70, also a difference of $10. And we know we add 10 all the way down that chart. So what do we do to get back from week 1 to week 0? Well, we're going to subtract something. What is that something going to be? Well, by now you guys should know. It's $10. We're going to subtract $10 from 50. And we know that Mandy started off with $40. That was her starting amount. So let's see if that works for our week 1 and our week 10. So the money saved here is $10 per week plus a starting amount. M equals 10W plus S, the same way we started with Kara. So S represents what Mandy had at week 0. So again, let's plug in 40. So for week number 1, M equals 10W plus 40. M equals 10 times 1 plus 40. 10 plus 40 is 50, so yes, that works for week 1. Now let's check it again with week 10. And here we go. We have 10 times 10 plus 40. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 plus 40 is 140. So yes, that works out just fine. So for Mandy's formula, it's 10W plus 40. All right, 10W plus 40. And here we have our chart again. All right, now the next piece of this says what happens here at week number 7. Both of these charts intersect at week 7. So what does the point 7, 110 represent? And I guarantee you, once we talk this out, you will recognize exactly what we're talking about. This is the point where both young ladies have saved the same amount of money. And that's what it looks like graphically. The amount of money saved with Kara's savings plan is equal to the amount of money saved with Mandy's savings plan. So Kara's formula is 15W plus 5. Mandy's formula is 10W plus 40. So this looks familiar to us. If we solve it, do we end up with 7? Here's our chart again, and this is looking kind of familiar right now. We set both equations equal to each other. 15W plus 5 equals 10W plus 40. So here are our constant terms, positive 5 on one side and positive 40 on our right-hand side. And here's our variable terms, 15W on the left side, 10W on the right side. So now let's combine our like terms. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides, and that's going to move all our constants to the right. 5 minus 5 cancels out. 40 minus 5 is 35. Now over here on the other side, we have 15W minus 10W equals 10W minus 10W. We're going to subtract 10W from both sides. 5 times something equals 35. Now divide by 5. That's the division property of equality. And look what we have here. W, or our weeks, equals 7. So based on this formula, it predicts that week 7 is where those graphs should intersect. And as we just found out, they do. That's the week where they both earn the same amount of money. All right. This is about 7 minutes of math, but I think it was worth it. All right. Thank y'all so much for listening, and I will talk to y'all again soon. Have a good night.